Flow coming out of Greece today, wherein the agreement on the bailout package has been reached. Let's cut across to the EuroGroup minister's address right now.
Will implement a further retroactive lowering of the lending margin of the bilateral loans to Greece to 150 basis points over the entire period of the loans, compared to a current margin of 200 basis points of the first 3 years and 300 basis points thereafter. This will bring the debt-to-GDP ratio down by 2.8 percentage points in 2020 and reduce financing needs with €1.4 billion. As had already been agreed at the occasion of previous margin reductions, there will be no additional compensation for higher funding costs for creditor member states. The absence of an additional compensation for higher funding costs should be countered by the fact that the Eurosystem holdings of Greek government bonds, which have been acquired for public policy purposes and thus will be protected from losses under the debt exchange, will generate profits for the Eurosystem and eventually revenue for governments. Second, governments of member states where central banks currently hold Greek government bonds in their investment portfolio commit to pass on to Greece an amount equal to any future income accruing to their national central bank stemming from this portfolio. These income flows would be expected to help reducing the Greek debt ratio by 1.8 percentage points by 2020 and are estimated to lower the financing needs over the programme period by approximately €1.8 billion. We are making every effort so that the new programme will be a success and will no longer be subject to recurrent slippages. This will require resolute actions from all sides. In particular, the Commission will reinforce the task force for Greece, in particular on the ground in Athens, in order to ensure that Greece has the institutional means to carry out the new programme successfully. The Troika will also substantially reinforce its presence in Athens in order to be able to kill in the egg any slippage. Coordination with the task force for Greece will also be reinforced. Greece has announced that it will aim to introduce the concept of absolute priority of debt service payments in its legal framework in the next coming 2 months and later on in its constitution. This is something that Spain, for example, has already done, and this should encourage the return of investor confidence. In the meantime, a mechanism will be put in place to better trace and monitor the funds destined to service Greece's debt. To this effect, an amount corresponding to the coming quarter's debt service should be paid directly to a segregated account of Greece's paying agent. On the basis of these elements, and subject to the implementation of the prior actions, Euro area member states stand ready to provide, together with the IMF, additional official programme financing of up to €130 billion until 2014. Member states should now launch the relevant national procedures to allow for the provision by EFSF of the necessary financing. We'll reconvene in the beginning of March once the offer is closed and once Greece has complied with the prior actions agreed for end February in order to examine the way forward and proceed with the exchange and launch the second programme for Greece. We also had a preparatory discussion on the review of the adequacy of the EFSF-ESM lending ceiling, currently set at €500 billion. The review itself will take place during the summit on the 1st and 2nd of March. I'm hopeful that euro area heads of state or government will be able to confirm to increase the combined lending capacity of the EFSF and ESM and the acceleration of the paying in of capital into the ESM. This significant reinforcement of the euro area firewall should show to our international partners our
Okay, the Greece debt plan has been approved and private lenders have agreed to take a 53% haircut. So at least that uncertainty is out of the way, and the center of gravity will now shift from Greece. It could be Italy, it could be Portugal, it could be Spain. That's anyone's guess. That is dependent on how some of these companies are able to roll over their debt. But at least 21st of March, the Greek debt will now be rolled over. 23 points up for the Nifty.